For the Module 5, Lesson 33 Problem Set, we are going to go ahead and continue our recognition of how we can subtract mixed numbers. And we're going to talk about a method called the arrow or timeline method. We've talked about timelines, and I quite like the arrow method. I'm going to show you in this first problem the timeline, and then kind of speed it up by getting to the arrow method, which I think you'll prefer in a little bit. So it says, write a related addition sentence, subtract by counting on, use a number line, or the arrow way to help. The first one has been partially done for you. So what we have is we have 3 1/3 minus 1 2/3. Okay? And so what I have here is I'll create a number line. This will be 0, this will be 1, this will be 2, this will be 3, this will be 4. And what we have is we have 3 1/3. So if I create this, this would be 3 1/3, this would be 3 2/3. And we are trying to subtract by 1 2/3. And so in order to do that, we know we're going to take off 1/3 and get down to 3. From that point, we're going to drop, so that would be 1/3 of our 2/3. From this point, I'm going to drop the 1. So we have 1 1/3. And what I know now is if I have 1 1/3 and I need to subtract by 1 2/3, I'm going to have to separate these into 2/3 again and drop one more 1/3. Because the total distance that I traveled subtraction is now 1/3 1/3 is 2/3, and 1 whole, 1 2/3 subtraction, which leaves us right here. And we look at this place in the number line, we have 1 whole and 1/3 2/3, which leaves us 1 2/3. And when we look at that and we try to add it together, we'll see. So 1 1 is 2. 2/3 and 2/3 is 4/3, which if we cash that out would become 3 1/3. Another method we can do is a number line method. And what you're essentially doing is you are starting with a certain amount and you are reducing. So if I have 5 1/4, I can take out certain amounts. So to get us down to 5, we would have to take away 1/4. So that would leave us 2 2/4 left over. From that point, if we take away 2, that means we only have to reduce by 2/4 because I have 2 1/4 and I need to reduce by 2 3/4. If I take away 1/4, that leaves us 2/4 left. So if I go back and take away 2/4 more, what I have left to go would be 2 2/4. So I have 2 plus 2/4, that's 2 2/4, plus 1/4 is 2 3/4. When I reduce that, I'm left with 2 2/4 or 2 1/2, either way. Now down here what we're doing is they actually are going to show you how to decompose fractions to kind of show the difference. So in this case, in A, they take the 3 and the 1 and they subtract it. The 1/4 remains and the minus 3/4 remains. So we took care of the whole amount first. So 3 minus 1 is 2, but the fractional amounts remain. At that point, they decompose this fraction into the 1/4 to cancel this out. So now I just have 2 minus 2/4 what's left over, which would be this 1 2/4. So let's show you this. In this case, I'm going to do 4 minus 2, and that's going to leave us 2 as our whole. So now I'm going to bring down this fraction, 2 1/5, since this was the larger amount, and the remaining amount that I need to subtract is just this 4/5. Now if I do that, I know that I can cancel out 1/5 by making this into 1/5 and 3/5. So what I have remaining is 2 minus 3/5. And at this point, I know that 2 equals 1 5/5. So 1 minus nothing would be 1. 5/5 minus 3/5 would leave us 2/5. Let's look at one more. We're going to start with the whole numbers. 5 minus 3 is equal to 2. And we have 3/7 minus 6/7 left. So 3/7 minus 6/7. I took care of my whole amount, so now I'm dealing with the fractions. At this point, I know that I can break this into 3/7 and 3/7, and that allows me to cash out this, which leaves me 2 minus this remaining 3/7. 2 becomes 1 and 7/7. So 1 minus nothing is 1. 7/7 minus 3/7 equals 4/7. Now, another way that I'll show you this real quick is that number method. So if I have 5 and 3/7 and I want to subtract 3 and 6/7, I can subtract 3 and that would leave me at 2 and 3/7 so far. Now I need to subtract 6/7. Well, if I minus 3/7, that would leave us at 2. And I still have 3 more 7ths that I need to subtract by, which would leave us 1 and 4/7. Let's look at a few more problems. So in this problem, we have 5 and 3/5 minus 2 and 4/5. So they take care of the whole number first, becoming 3 and 3/5. Right, the 3/5 is here, the 4/5 remain from here. We just took care of the whole number. So now we have 3 and 3/5 minus 4/5. We can actually decompose the 3 into 2 and 3/5 and 1 whole. And at that point, the 1 whole transitions into 2 and 3/5 and 5/5 minus 4/5. And I cashed out that 1 to be prepared for this remaining amount. So what we could do is we could also just subtract here in a little bit more, or recognize that I'm going to keep it in simplest form. So 2 and 3/5, this equals 1/5. When we combine them, that would leave us 2 and 4/5. For the bottom, let's look at 2 different methods to solve these problems. I actually like the one up here. So if we subtract 6 and 3, that's going to leave us 3 and 1/4 minus 3/4. And I can actually separate this into 2 and 1/4 and 1 whole minus 3/4. And I can almost do this in my head. This one's going to be the same thing as 4 over 4. So 4/4 minus 3/4 equals 1/4, and the remaining 2 and 1/4 equals 2 and 2/4. For this last one, we will look at one more method. So 5 minus 2 equals 3. 1 over 100 minus 97 over 100. And this becomes 2 and 100 and 1. We're going to cash that 1 in for 100 over 100. So I can do 97 minus 100. That's going to leave us 3 100s combined with that 2 and 100 equals 2 and 4 100s.